Miles, what's going on, dude? How you doing, man?
Good. Happy Easter Friday. Good Friday, or as we call it in the UK, Eggy JC Chocky Friday, because obviously it's the time of year where we have to reflect on important moments in the Bible. Like, obviously on Friday was when JC fell in that muddy pool and then he rolled out and he turned into an egg. So obviously we now eat, we eat eggs to remember him coming out of the mud. So I mean, that's what we do here in England anyway. So yeah, just happy Eggy JC Friday, everyone.
I mean, that sounds far more complicated than what we do over here. And I think,
what do you do?
I mean, in the greater United States, it's like it's Good Friday and everyone's like doing their thing, and like I don't know, I'm sure that I don't know when Ash Wednesday is, but then that's when we put cigarette butts out on our foreheads. But then,
okay,
but over here, man, we keep it real simple over here in the Brian Paul household. We just call it Mediocre Friday and order pizza.
That's good.
Yeah, like we don't hold anything to any expectations. We know the only way to make it good is to order some pizza. And that's going to be a fucking Good Friday.
But wouldn't it be better if on that pizza you had a little chocky egg on it?
I'm done with you, and we haven't even started the show.
Let's go, Brian. Then it's going to be a Good Friday.
Let's do it. This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Good Wise Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole, this YouTube channel that you're watching probably right now, possibly. Although you might be watching this over on Miles' channel. I do love that you post as part of your playlist every episode that you're on. But it's like, if I'm not on this show, fuck off. You watch it live right here on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if that's not your thing, you don't want to stare at us, we get it, man, because we're tired of looking at you too. No, we're not. You're all adorable. You're beautiful. We love you. You're God's children. You can watch it with your ears over on podcast services of your choice in MP3 format. That's right. Even on Spotify. Guess what? We're killing it over there. You know why? Because you guys are fucking awesome. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole. And this gentleman over here in the land of the heathens, it's Miles Dyer from Miles Dyer Official on YouTube. And Miles Dyer Official on Instagram and youtube.com/Miles on YouTube. What is happening, my friend?
Miles. Hey, Brian. Good to see you. I was crying in the intro because Greg in the chat said, Lord, who is this man representing us British? When I was rambling on about, what Good Friday's about. It was amazing.
Wait, are you trying to say that's facetious in some way or another? It's not how you do it?
What?
I don't know. I'm just responding to Greg. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to give Greg his voice.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. Just he might be different religion, maybe. I'm a strong Christian, so I'm all about JC Eggy Chocky Friday or whatever I called it 5 minutes ago. Anyway, Brian, it's good to see you. Good to see you, Game Cats. Hope you're having a wonderful Good Friday. That's all I've got.
Sean Yarbrough, the Game Cat, in the chat says, anyone remember in 2016 when Brian had the colored mohawk? My friend, this is a perfect example of the Mandela effect, because I did once have a mohawk on the show, but it was never color. It was always just my natural hair color all the time. Never once colored it for the show. That's right, Sean Yarbrough. Although it sounds like the Without Parole in your universe was way cooler than the one over here. So let's all choose to remember. Let's all choose to remember it that way. Hey, Jeremy King's in the chat. Also, AJ's in the chat. Also, Geison's in the chat.
Jeremy.
Mr. Musicality's in the chat. Grumpy Williams is in the chat. This is saving us from having to cue the cat later. Also, what up, Tatum? I think we're going to order pizza later because of you.
I did have pizza before the show, so I'm all pizzaed up. So
before the show?
Yeah, I did, because I'm not eating after this, or else I'll never sleep.
No, see, the problem is if I eat pizza, I generally want to go to sleep like 2 minutes later. So like if there's no way I'm eating pizza then doing GamesCast. Like it'll just be me asleep on my desk. That'll be the whole show.
That's fair.
All right. Hopefully everyone out there is doing well. Hey, we want to give a shout out to Professor Lilith, our good friend. Guys, if you don't know how this all works, every single Sunday, and this Sunday as well, the holidays be damned, we do GameCat meetups, which is great because not everybody has family to go see or hang out with. So, the GameCat family is there for each other. And that means we've got the GameCat multiplayer meetup happening over on our Discord. That's where it gets organized. And thank you, Professor Lilith, for organizing this week and every single week. This week at 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, everyone's getting together to play After the Fall.
Nice.
That's right.
I was very lukewarm about it on PSVR, but when I dived into it on PSVR2, definitely feels like the game I wanted it to be. Still have issues with the non-social social space, but the game itself is really good fun when you get to team up with people. So if I can, I will definitely be jumping into that on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the further we get into VR, the more games that come out that really rely on, hey, this is fun kind of on your own, but getting in there with a bunch of friends, like that's the point. It's like, I mean, that's what games are for, right? I mean, it's the same thing with like, it kind of harkens back to the board game days, right? Where it's kind of all you had. You sit around the table playing that thing by yourself isn't going to be a lot of fun, but you get in there and you play with friends. It's an excuse to hang out, spend a couple hours with them. That is, that's how I feel about Demia, which is a great game on its own, but 100 times more fun with friends. That's how I feel about Walkabout Mini Golf, which is also coming to PSVR2, and that's definitely how I feel about After the Fall. Like it's fine to go shoot some snowbreed by yourself, but it's way more fun to do it with your friends. So come hang out and do it with your friends.
Yeah.
Red Rover, the F in GameCat with the $2 tip says, Miles eats eggs to remember. $2 to say that? Yes.
I appreciate that.
Jason Ewing in the chat with the $5 tip says, I remember the purple mohawk. I also don't trust my memory. Well, here's the fun part. I've done so many drugs and drank way too much over the course of my life that no one should trust my memory either. So maybe I did have a purple mohawk at some point. Jason, you and the other guy should get together and figure out what color the mohawk really was. Because I don't know if purple was the one that we were all misremembering, but that's funny. It would be funny if the other guy was like, it was totally green. I was like, okay, no one knows.
Well, talking of colours, Brian, I know that one difference between the UK and the US is when it comes to Easter, and I think we spoke about this last Easter, if I was presenting the show at this point last year, but you paint eggs. You paint eggs over there.
Yeah, do we?
We don't paint eggs. I find it really weird.
What do you,
like here,
what do you do?
You just eat chocolate eggs, and you do like little egg hunts in the garden where you hide little chocolate eggs, and then your kids have got to find it before the rats do. But that's about it. But painting eggs, because what you paint, like wooden eggs? What are they made of? Are they just plastic eggs, or are they real eggs? Do you actually paint real eggs? What do you do, Brian? Tell me. So, what do you Americans do?
All right, welcome to Easter Podcast Live. So what you do is you take a little pin, right, and you take a real egg out of your refrigerator, and you poke a hole egg in the bottom of the egg, right? And you poke a tiny little hole, right? You just chip out a tiniest little hole, and then once you get in there, you kind of stab the yolk a little bit, right? Like you can get it all to come out the bottom of the real egg, and then and then you can paint that egg. Not everybody does it. I remember being young and maybe I'm misremembering this as well. So I doubt that my mom is watching currently, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was. For some reason, I remember, maybe I'm just thinking that my life is Bob's Burgers, but I remember them hard boiling eggs and then painting them, right? And then distributing them around the yard, and we did an Easter egg hunt. And then one wasn't found for a very, 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 very long time. Because if you're not keeping track of them, then it's probably pretty easy to lose one. And I just remember there being, I don't know if it was my aunt's house or our house or whatever it was, but I just remember there being one that like was never found and like smelled up the fucking place real bad. I don't, again, I might just be misremembering this. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I learned something today.
Can we stop talking about Easter now?
All right. For the moment, if I have any more questions, I will be bringing them up.
Thanks.
But sure.
Yeah. Yep.
No worries.
Yep. What's happening on your channel over there? YouTube.com/Miles. Miles.
Well, Brian, on Wednesday, in a last-minute panic before a live stream, I don't know if you know what one of them are. It's where you're not sure what to talk about, and then you just put something together last minute. I mean, I have that all the time. I don't know if you've ever experienced that with this channel. I don't think so. But I just had a discussion around Twitter, because Twitter has once again been going through all sorts of shenanigans. On April 1st, I was supposed to lose my blue tick, legacy tick, because they wanted everyone to buy Twitter Blue, and then they decided not to do that. And now when you look at my blue tick, it says I'm either legacy or I've bought Twitter Blue, and now it has gone back. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff changing, and so I just had a conversation around, what does everyone think of Twitter? Has it got better? Has it got worse? And it was a really cool conversation actually about those that do use it, those that don't use it anymore and feel better for it. I explained that for 6 years, I've had it deleted off my phone. Don't really use it at all. But the last half year, because of the VR community and with PSVR2 coming out, I'm actually on Twitter a lot now. And I've actually got quite a healthy relationship with it, because that's what I use Twitter for, is to talk with VR content creators and VR developers and be in that sort of conversation. I used to be more into the activism and things like that, where obviously it gets a lot more heated and brutal. And for me, it's just like any social media. It's being aware of what the platform is, what it can do for you. And I'm enjoying Twitter because I'm keeping it confined to just talking about VR. And I know there are toxic elements of any community, but it's just learning to only put so much effort into that, you know. But that's like with anything. So that was cool. And then last weekend, my live stream was Cosmonius High, which we'll be talking about later on the show.
Oh, perfect. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
On topic, Emily Baxter, the hashtag cartoony witch game kitten, says Cosmonious makes the weekend official. It sucks. Thank you so much for the $2 in order to tell us that you don't like cartoony games. We always appreciate it.
Does she not? Okay.
Revelatory news right here.
I know. Yep. Breaking news. Probably do that on.
Yeah, dude. I definitely have my own turmoil with Twitter. Obviously, part of the necessary social media. Like I said last week, I got rid of my Facebook account for Without Parole. I would do it with my personal account, but like there are people in my life who have passed away, and like I am like friends with them, and so like not being able to access their page anymore would be painful. I think like if I that would be like something I'm not ready to take a step forward and delete that part of my life, because it feels like I'm deleting like them or something. But I don't use Facebook. So if anyone's trying to contact me through Facebook, just don't bother, because I just don't use it, right? But Twitter is, Twitter. I don't really care about what happens behind the scenes over there. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk. I don't care if he's amazing. I don't care if he's a dick. It just doesn't affect my life in the slightest, right? So whatever. Twitter's Twitter. But man, even when I try to stay in the VR space over there, it's like, God damn, the VR space can be toxic. Like there are people who like are supposed to be authorities, supposed to be people you trust, supposed to be people you go to for news. And every single fucking day I have to unfollow somebody else, because I'm like, you just don't know what you're talking about. Or all you care about are the clicks. All you care about are, your negative viewpoints and getting people to like getting people rallied up and stuff. And I'm just not interested in that. It's never the way we've done things Without Parole, never the way I've done things personally. So Twitter's, I try to kind of stay off Twitter. I check my notifications in the morning, and then that's kind of it. Like I respond to the people who ask me questions or DM me, and that's sort of it. And then I just do everything else on our Discord.
Yeah, that's excellent, Brian. My top tip has always been to people that, this could be with any social media account, but for me, it was my attitude change for Twitter when I deleted it off my phone is, and I say this to anyone watching the show, if you're having troubles that you find you're scrolling in bed on your phone endlessly, this infinity machine, is use social media with an intention. And so when I changed my behavior with Twitter, the only time I used Twitter, because I had it taken off my phone, was when I had an intention to do so. And what I meant by that was I would have to go on my computer, twitter.com, and that means the only times I used Twitter was if I wanted to go on there to post something, or if I wanted to go on there to find something out, if there's some news being spoken about. If you got it on your phone, it's that infinite scroll and doing it in bed, and before you know it, you should have gone to bed 3 hours ago and actually slept. And I found that made my relationship with Twitter in particular a lot healthier. I could no doubt do that with other platforms as well, but it's difficult when you are a content creator. I post more content on Instagram, so that's something I will always keep on my phone. But yeah,
and I got to say that I like the conversation happening in chat about Donnie Darko far better than our conversation that we're having on the show about Twitter. I did just pick up Donnie Darko on UMD, so I can now watch it on my PSP, which means I'm allowed to watch it again. That is the current rule as far as watching movies goes. I got to tell you guys, everybody out there was like, every time I say I haven't seen a specific movie, Miles, from like my past, from the 80s, from the 90s, you know, like maybe I was in college, or maybe like I was just too young to see it in the 80s, and like my parents wouldn't let me watch it. And so there's always like these movies that these like iconic movies, right? That people are like, I can't believe you haven't seen that. You need to watch that immediately.
I call it the movie gasp list.
Yeah.
For me, where if I say you've not seen, so have you not seen Donnie Darko? Right.
No, I have, of course.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
okay. Of course.
And there's actually a running joke in my family. I recommended it to my brother and my sister-in-law. I was like, "It's a great movie. I fucking love Donnie Darko." And they watched it, and they were like, "Well, we're never taking Brian's recommendations to heart again because this movie is terrible." And I was like, "Okay, well then we no longer trust each other's opinion then because if you don't like Donnie Darko, then I don't think I trust you either." So we had to move on from that relationship. We no longer recommend movies to each other. I also recommended Pan's Labyrinth, and they weren't a fan of that. So I'm like, I just don't know what to do with these people anymore.
That's on my gasp list. I've not seen Pan's Labyrinth, and I know I need to. But Donnie Darko, I really want to see it with my mum and dad. My dad fell asleep through the beginning because he was really tired, but he'd associated with it was boring. I didn't know what was going on. Donnie Darko is my all-time favorite movie. I actually own the Frank the Bunny costume.
Wait, and you're not wearing it on our Easter episode? Miles, no. You have officially screwed up.
Oh no! Well, maybe I'll get it before the end of the show. But
the show's over in like 5 minutes, man. You're running out of time. Fucking do it or don't do it.
I don't want to call Jeremy out, but I think he said watch the director's cut. I have to strongly disagree, and the only reason why was I was sat around a friend's house and they'd never seen Donnie Darko, and on Netflix both versions were there, and I hadn't seen the director's cut. I said, "Oh, let's watch that." And I remember as soon as the credits rolled, I said, "I am so sorry." And the reason why is the director's cut is a lot more. It has a lot more of the lore of like Roberto Sparrow. That's going to be nothing to people who haven't seen it, and like the pages from the book. And I think, you know, it's interesting if you're into that.
Yeah.
But the mystery and the ambiguousness of the original, I find is what makes it much more powerful. But the last thing I'll say about Donnie Darko is I believe, and this is crazy to think, so Donnie Darko is based in the 80s, but it came out in the early 2000s. Yeah. I believe now that the time between when the movie came out and when it was based in the 80s is now shorter between when the movie came out and what the date is today. Yeah, and that blows my mind when I found that out. But yeah, it's a great coming of age movie. If you haven't seen it, do check out Donnie Darko. But don't expect to be something that you leave and go, "Oh, okay, that made total sense to me." It's a movie that you'll watch again, and man, the ending gives me chills every time. The music, everything. It's great.
And if you don't get it, if you don't get what you just saw, then I mean, there's no shame in like looking up online, being like, "Please explain fucking Donnie Darko to me," because like I feel like I watched that movie 3 times, thought I got it, and then I looked online and said, "Oh no, I don't think I got it," and it made me appreciate it more to read everybody's theories and you know the explanations. I will say that makes me want to watch the director's cut because I think the director's cut sounds like something that is good if you've already seen the original movie. So I want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
But
what a cast it's got as well. Jake Gyllenhaal and his sister, and it's got Drew Barrymore, obviously Patrick Swayze.
Right.
Yeah, I know everyone laughs when they think about Patrick Swayze. Oh, what did he play in it? An interesting character. Yep.
So the reason I brought this up was because I finally watched The Mummy. The Mummy is a movie that everybody's like, "How have you not watched The Mummy?" Like, you know, like I'm as somebody who was like, you know, raised on Indiana Jones movies, like loved Indiana Jones movies. Everyone's like, "How did you not see The Mummy?" There's 3 of them. I'm not going to watch the second and third one, you guys. You guys are fucking out of your minds. That movie was like, Just, I mean, maybe if I saw it when I was a kid, but it was, I mean, the whole time I was like, this is just too much, man. Like, I'm just not interested.
Right.
Like, it was okay. It was fine. And I probably would have enjoyed it way more 20 years ago. But like,
that's it. I saw it in the cinema when it came out, and I don't know how it would look now. But yeah. By the way, on Discord, I've just sent you a photo of me. It was actually at a work event. I turned up. It was on Halloween, and I turned up with the Frank the Bunny costume, and that was me waiting in the lobby of the hotel.
I'm gonna see if I can. This is always tricky to get these things up and running.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, and it just because it's on my mind right now, guys, I'm watching this Patreon scroll go by here at the bottom of the screen, and I just have to apologize. I cannot get the Patreon scroll working properly, so I just had to revert back to last month's Patreon scroll. If you're supporting us on Patreon, like, thank you so fucking much. I'm embarrassed that like I can't even get your name on the goddamn screen properly, but I will figure it out. OBS has the worst scroll option, like it only has a limited number of characters. And in Premiere made it impossible to create scrolls. So it's going to take me some time, but I will figure it out. So just wanted to apologize to you guys for that. Here, let's see. I think I have. Can I bring this up? Can I bring the image up?
If not, don't worry. I'll get the costume before the end of the show.
I don't.
It's a nice, comfy onesie to wear.
Let's see. I think I got it right here.
This is going to be such a disappointment now.
I haven't even seen it yet. Somehow I'm bringing this up without seeing it. Oh, it's good. Oh, does Frank the Bunny have a heart on his chest?
It doesn't. But this is the official. It is the official Donnie Darko one, and it's not a heart on his chest. So it's interesting that they've done that. There's a few subtle differences. I think he's like more grey than white. But yeah.
This isn't this is the official one, and I would opt for an unofficial one because this doesn't look all that great.
It does look good. It does look great in the streets. Trust me.
Nice
when you're walking around with it, and it's super comfy.
Red Rover, the effing game cap, the $2 tips. This is such a casual dude. Sometimes I'm not looking forward to doing a show on Friday because I've got so much to do. I've got to start getting PSVR this week ready. There's always a review, that I got to take care of. There's always shit I got to do. And then we start the episode on GAMESCAST, and I'm like, this is just right in the middle of like all the work I got to do. And then I realized it's exactly what I needed. Like, we just like this chill, laid back show where we just get to hang out and talk about fucking like 80s movies. Like, Jeremy should definitely be on screen with us right now. Like, this is Jeremy's episode right here. But so I just want to say, if you guys are only here for PSVR news, then come back in like 20 minutes. We'll get to it. Red Rover, the effing game cap, $2 tip says, I recommend Bone Tomahawk. $2 to say that. Yep. What is Bone Tomahawk a real thing? Because, I'll tell you, if it was a $5 tip, I would have Googled it, but it's $2, so we're going to move on. Bogey Cat Productions with the £2 says, the best part of Donnie Darko is the clip of Evil Dead. Okay, I don't know if I've seen Donnie Darko in like 20 years. I don't remember Evil Dead being in the movie. That's crazy.
Is it not when they go to the movie theater? Are they watching it there? I don't know. I can't remember either.
Wow. Cool. All right, guys. So let's get into some viewer takeover questions. Obviously, there's so many ways to get your questions into the show. You can just leave them right here in the chat as we're doing the show live, but it's way less likely that we're going to see it and go, yes, let's talk about that suddenly. You can also tip to get your question shown. I know that if you're a member, you get a certain number of super chats for free. I don't know how anything works. I will figure all this out soon, I promise. But I think the best way to get your question into the show is by joining our Discord. Click the link in the description below and going over to the Viewer Takeover channel and leaving your question there. For the love of God, please don't answer other people's questions in the Viewer Takeover channel because I never find your fucking questions. And so, yeah.
We answer them here
God damn it.
On the show.
So Red Rover, the effing game cat with the $5 tip says, there, now look up Bone Tomahawk. Okay, fine. Hold on. I feel like this isn't going to go well.
Bone Tomahawk.
Tomahawk. All right. Not rated. 2015 Western horror by, let's see. It's got Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, David Arquette. There's too many famous people in this movie. There's no way that it's good. The first question, you know how it says, people also ask. It says people also ask. Hold on a second, let me get this up here. People also ask, what was the point of Bone Tomahawk? So when you Google Bone Tomahawk, the first question people ask is, what was the point? So the answer, Bone Tomahawk focuses on the casualty of violence, of the causality of the violence that was rampant on the plains. Too often, the cause of death in the Old West stemmed from ignorance and stupidity, a sentiment Ms. O'Dwyer would echo later in the piece, saying, this is why frontier life is so difficult. Is Bone Tomahawk worth watching? Apparently, it's a brilliant, bloody film that you'd be hard-pressed to forget. So, Miles, I take it all back. Bone Tomahawk was not some kind of sexual innuendo. It was, in fact, a bloody, brilliant film.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Red Rover, for clarifying. The first viewer takeover question today comes to us from Josh76. He says, Can the microtransaction model work in the VR space? What is holding back developers from tapping into this market?
My thought on this straight away, and by the way, I haven't seen these questions. I like to come in fresh with these as opposed to coming in with polls and notes, going, here's all my research.
Sure.
But we were having a conversation the last few weeks when talking about Demio, and I said that they do have a battle pass kind of system, except it's free. It's just as you get XP, you unlock all these cosmetics. And I would love it if they had a paid battle pass tier. So I know that's not the same as microtransactions, but that would seem like an obvious sort of... And actually, I was asking at the time, are there any games that really offer like a paid tiered version, or in this case, microtransactions? There aren't many. They just kind of do pre-order bundles, or, you know, if it was Saints and Sinners, they do like the tourist edition. Do you know what I mean? Sure. I don't think there's many that have in-game DLC, or unless it's like music packs or things like that. Can you think of any other VR games that have had?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously Rec Room, right? Because I think the free-to-play model is where microtransactions are most successful, right? Because, I'm going to compare it to, I don't know about your experience in Fortnite, Miles, but my experience in Fortnite is I download the thing for free. I play it for 100 hours. I've never spent a penny. And then I suddenly go, I've gotten way more playtime in this game than most VR games out there. Right? I spend $30 on a VR game. It lasts me 5 hours. And I'm like, that was good. And then I never go back to it. And so I think there are certain games out there that are free to play with infinite replayability. And they say, and after a certain point, even the people who are most against microtransactions like me go, I've gotten my $30 worth out of this. I've gotten my $100 worth out of this game. Like, for the love of God, let me play as a or xenomorph. I keep saying necromorph instead of xenomorph, and so that's a thing.
That would be great, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm running around right now as a xenomorph from Alien. I was running around as Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. I was running around as Meow Skulls, the kind of like emo cat, for a long time. And so there are these things that like I don't feel guilty about spending money on anymore because I've got so many hours into the game. And so I think it works better with the free-to-play model because eventually your brain and your wallet work together and go, spending money makes sense now.
Also, when it's not paid. Is it pay to play, or pay to win?
Pay to win, yeah.
Where
different
it's
story.
changing the mechanics. Where there might be some games where they make it. I mean, I can think of some mobile games where you have so many lives and then you have to wait for them to charge up, but then you can pay to like refill your thing. Although I think we've moved beyond that. A lot of these games like Candy Crush and that, you can just get friends to give each other boosts. Yeah. So it's actually a way of just spreading the game. But when you have those kind of gameplay mechanics, that can feel a bit dirty. But when it comes to things like Fortnite, it's all about cosmetics. And what are cosmetics about? Even if you don't overtly think it, you want to be a character that kind of, if it represents you, not in terms of like, I feel like a xenomorph, but I think xenomorphs are cool. So this is something I'd like to play as. I like hunting down the enemies and seeing them get killed by a xenomorph. But I've always argued there's even more of a case for that in VR, because VR, you are the character in a lot of the cases. So buying cosmetics and, adding to, like, we think of PlayStation Home and, your ability to like buy stuff for your home that you build because it represents, you. And so I just think that, there is a big market there. And I am surprised it hasn't been tapped into because there's no. Okay, there is always an opportunity cost if you're going to invest in like microtransactions. You are now having to develop that functionality as opposed to working on a new game. But there's a lot less of an opportunity cost compared to creating a new game to make money from. If you have a game that people keep coming back to, and if you've got a battle pass or you've got cosmetics people can grind for, then that is a way of getting people to keep coming back. It was actually one of the we were talking about after the fall. It was one of the main criticisms when the game first came out, which was you can do a run of a level and then you get points for buying new weapons and stuff. But the loot loop was either too long or it never felt worth it. Like the different types of gun add-ons and things was never significant enough to justify the grinding in the game. And we always talk about it openly when it comes to games like Destiny or Fortnite. We know that a grind is actually like the developers manipulating us to keep doing the same thing again and again. But as gamers, most of us like the grind. And so when it comes to microtransactions, if it comes to progression systems or battle passes, as gamers in VR, we would love to see it. And I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of it for those reasons.
Yeah, I agree. I do think there's a part of it that has to do with the fact that most stuff in VR is first person. And so, when you're running around Fortnite in third person on the flat screen, you see your character, and you get to appreciate the fact that you are whatever character you decided to buy, whether it be Leon Kennedy or fucking a million other. It's the craziest shit out there, man. It feels like a fucking Halloween parade sometimes. You're just like, wow, everyone's fucking dressed up as their favorite character. So what it becomes is in first person, especially in VR, it becomes this thing where it's like you just have to accept the fact that like you're not seeing it, but everyone who's playing with you does. And I think that might be a little bit harder to justify, or maybe a little bit harder because you're never seeing it yourself, right? And it's hard to remember that this is what your friends are seeing, unless there's like a mirror every 5 steps, right? Where you look like, oh yeah, that's me. Like in Cosmonious High, I was customizing my character at the beginning of the game, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, whatever. Choose a backpack, whatever. And I was like, putting on glasses, and this is dumb. And I looked over, and I was like, oh, there's a mirror right fucking here. And I was like, this is suddenly really cute. Like this is cool. And so I think there's a little bit of a logic jump for people to say, if I can't see it, what's the point?
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. And I know that you're not going to disagree with what I'm about to say, which is if you're in a multiplayer space like Rec Room and stuff, you can look down and see yourself. But if you're seeing everyone else is customized, you're thinking, oh, that's how they're representing themselves. How do I want to represent me? So I think it is like maybe a frame of mind that is just going to evolve with VR, because as you say, Fortnite, it's in third person, so you get to see the character that you're playing as.
Well, I think that's a huge reason why Rec Room starts you off in your dorm room, right, with a giant wall-sized mirror, because it's like, hey, don't forget, this is what you're wearing today. Yes. And you're like, maybe I should change that before I go out. Like, your real life. Before I walk out the door, maybe I should check to see that I'm wearing pants. After COVID, it wasn't a guarantee, Miles.
That's true. That's true. But on Rec Room, I did grind in some of the quests for like some really top tier equipment, because I did actually pay, I think, for the the monthly subscription for a couple of months, and I bought some really cool gear, like space helmets and gear and stuff, and it looked cool. And I think it was significant enough that I noticed it. But there's definitely opportunities for more microtransactions, and we're not saying it as a way of blocking people out. But like Demio is just a great example. Demio, they should still keep the free progression system, but then they have another lineup, and if that's how battle passes work. If you want the premium stuff as well, that's it. But if you don't get it, then it doesn't take away from the game. You're not paying to unlock game mechanics or to win. It's just that if and I've said it to the devs, I would pay for it and I'd happily do so, because this game's amazing, and if there's an opportunity to have more customization on your characters, I would love that. And I think we just live in a different world now where people are genuinely more accepting of it, because microtransactions and that are no longer, because the EA thing with the Star Wars Battlefront 2, where they lost loads on sales because there was a massive backlash, because I think it was like in the beta, was it, that people were like, they were calculating how many hours you would have to play to unlock certain characters, as opposed to paying, 20 quid, after you've paid a full price game. And people were like, this is effing outrageous. And that was a backlash. And so it has made people, reconsider. And it's also why you don't see loot boxes, I'm going to say, anymore. I'm sure there are some games that have them. But now it's more that you just get to choose what you get.
Well, it's funny you say that, because in the chat, Corporate Zombie brings up a good point. He says there's a grind in Gran Turismo 7. Some of the cars are like, he's using some other currency, 12 million credits,
right?
Approximately 12 hours of winning races, which is true, except if you go in there and do your dailies, right, and you get your daily lottery ticket, right, or you complete circuits or whatever, right, you can win millions with your lottery tickets. You can win these really expensive cars, and so there is this thing where it's like, okay, you're not forced to go spend the money in Gran Turismo 7 like ever, right? You're constantly unlocking cars. And so if there's a specific car that you really want that costs like 12 million credits, that's backburnered in the back of your brain, saying, this is sort of what I'm working towards, right? And with the lottery tickets, with winning circuits, and with all the money that you can win in the game, well, then it's like, well, but it also allows you to just fucking buy the car. You can go and just buy millions of credits on the PlayStation Store if you want to spend real life money. And like, that's fine by me. Right? Like, if there's one car that you're just like, this is going to take way too long to buy, and like, and I'm not interested in spending this much time with the game. Like, most people complain that VR games don't last long enough. Gran Turismo gives you infinite number of reasons to go play every single day. And so it's like, I find it hard to complain because they're giving me cars constantly. And if you play every day, then like, you are given money to work toward that goal. And so you don't have to grind 96 hours to get the car you want.
I do like there being cosmetics, or in GT7's case, certain cars where if people have it, they've had to grind for it or pay a lot of money for it. Look, if they've just, spent that money, then that's fair enough. But it's nice to have an economy that is kind of related to, that says something about the player. Kayak VR I've been using for my daily workouts.
Nice.
And I'm grinding the credits because there are, I think one of the biggest, it's not the space hat, it's I think it's a crown. I don't want that. I want the space helmet, but that's like 8,000 credits. I'm on like 4,000 at the moment, and like the best skin for the kayak is 10,000. Yeah. This takes a lot of time to grind, but it means when you start racing people, you will see what kind of stuff they're wearing, and like, again, that I think that is an element of cosmetics that can be quite cool. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I feel like we could go on with this topic forever. But it's it's a viewer takeover question, and since it's not the topic of the show, we should probably move on. But I do, yeah, I 100% do see that there's a place for microtransactions in VR games. I would prefer them to be, specific to free-to-play games, but obviously Gran Turismo, I think, is completely fair. You never have to spend a single penny in that game. So, as long as they're fair, then I think we're okay. But is that what it was? Was that he was asking? Yeah, he's asking about microtransactions. I think we don't see enough free to play games, and I'm actually surprised we don't see enough free to play games in VR, because the market's small, right? And so you really want to get the maximum number of people playing your game, right? And if you get them in the door and show them that your game is fun, then you can start selling them things. But too often it's like people are like, oh, $30? I don't know. I'm probably not going to buy that. But if it's free to play, everybody will download it and try it.
And there's only one free to play game on PSVR2, isn't there?
Is that Cactus Cowboy? Yeah. Yeah.
Don't think there's any others, because Rec Room's not on there yet.
Also true. Yeah. No Rec Room yet. Crazy. Yeah. All right, man. So our next viewer takeover question comes to us from the Boffin. He writes, with the rumors of bad sales, how soon could Sony drop the price of the headset without really pissing people off who bought it day one? I
don't think we spoke endlessly about the rumors last week. Yeah. So no offense to the Boffin, but I think we can answer this very quickly from both of us. My feeling on this is they don't have to drop the price because they've sold, people are estimating like 300,000 or something like that. I think there is a challenge with sales in the VR market as a whole, just because, and for PlayStation, there's the bottleneck, which is the PlayStation console, as in PS5, that needs to sell first. But I don't think they're going to reduce the headset. And if they do, it will be way after people would be annoyed about it happening. I think if there's going to be a price drop, it will be Black Friday, end of this year. I can't see it happening any time sooner. All that will happen is if there's a PlayStation showcase, is they're going to give people even more reasons to pick up a headset.
Yeah, I would say holiday next year. To be honest with you, I don't see it happening this year at all. Because again, if what we've experienced is considered a soft launch, right? Sony hasn't really pushed the marketing. Sony hasn't even delivered their roadmap. They haven't talked about what's coming next. This is very, very much a soft launch, despite the fact that we had a fucking crazy launch with amazing launch titles. Yeah. Still a soft launch. And so, and I think they're just going to like casually be selling consoles throughout the course of the rest of this year. And then we'll probably see a big push for the showcase and then a big push for holiday. And then, and then I don't think people will even think it needs a price drop at that point because it'll be selling really, really well. And again, these are all just rumors. We don't know how many have been sold. Sony never stated this publicly. Sony also never stated what their projections were. Everything we've heard so far, and that comes from that gives hard numbers, is all been rumors or projections from people who are not Sony, who don't have the actual data, and so it's all just been blown way out of proportion. I don't think there's a problem, and I don't think they need to lower the price. And so the soonest I could see them lowering the price is holiday 2024. So, because that would just be a reasonable time to do it, right? And I mean, and even at that point, I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? Go down for 500, 450, whatever, man. Like
that's when they reckon the PlayStation Pro's PS5 Pro will be out as well.
More rumors. Love the rumors, though. Love the rumers. I'll buy a Pro.
Well, you know the one about the handheld, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll buy that too.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking
you buy that too.
Even though Sony fucking hates me. Like I love PlayStation. I do. Like I love their games and I love their products, and like if they've got another handheld up their sleeve, I will absolutely buy it. Whatever. Anyway, so let's move on, man. We got a couple tips from Red Rover the effing Game Cab, the $2 tip. No, hold on a second. Yeah, there it is. It says it's oh my god. Bone Tomahawk, right? Was that the first one he recommended? Oh, his new tip says it's way better than Tom Bonehawk.
Nice.
I'm not gonna Google that. Red Rover the effing Game Cat with another $2 says, okay, now I'm out of money. We just took the rest of his money, Miles. I feel like we should issue a refund.
No refunds.
Okay. Zach Wilder says, who here likes the Fifth Element? Getting us back on track, Zach Wilder.
I love that movie.
Yep.
They should make a VR game of it.
I have it on UMD.
Nice.
Jamie out with the $2 tip says tons by Cosmetics in Warzone and Apex FPS games. I can only assume that's accurate. But also Warzone and Apex, are those both free to play?
Yep.
And Warzone is, yeah. Apex is as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, I think it all comes down to, it's like you get the game out to tens of millions of players, right? And then even if 10% of the people engage in microtransactions, that's a fucking lot of people, man. That's like millions of people spending money on microtransactions, doing cosmetics. But 10% is a really small number, right? So that's why the free-to-play model works so well, because you get your game out to every single person who owns the console, owns the headset, owns the whatever, and then even if a very small percentage out there buy stuff, you've got your regular players, you've got your whales, they're raking in the money, man, big time. So yeah, but it's true. It's true. First person, it does work in first person as well.
I think Pavlov is in a great position to do a free to play mode and have cosmetics and things on that. God, if Pavlov did a battle royale mode,
I think Pavlov's in a bad situation for a free to play model. I think it's great for what it is. Sandbox, it's already cheap, right?
Yeah,
$25.
Yeah,
awesome.
I wouldn't say the full game free to play. I just mean there could be a free to play mode, so like a demo for people to pick up. So if they had just like a battle royale mode, because then there's all the other amazing modes that you'd then have to buy the full game for.
Yeah,
which is kind of what Call of Duty does with
I think
Warzone.
Firewall Ultra would be in a better situation. Like, they don't need to be, I don't think, personally,
No.
to be free to play. But I think they're in a better situation to do that. They've got, they've got a progression system. They've got things to unlock. They've got whatever. And so, introducing money into that would be an interesting way to do it. I wouldn't want them to, but it's a far better situation to introduce a free to play model. Help me out. Who? Oh, it's legendary. It took me
Legendary.
all that time.
We had this last week.
Was that last week? It was you and me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see it when I look at the name.
It's all right. Canadians have weird spelling. They have weird spelling.
The Canadians. Legendary. The Canadian $5 tip says, "Who would love to see Little Nightmares come to PlayStation VR 2?" Absolutely. That's the developer behind Static. That's fuck me, did I just forget who made that game? Not Fabric. Who?
What, Little Nightmares?
Yeah, Little Nightmares. Static. Who made it?
It was made by BNE Entertainment, Bandai Namco.
No, they just published it.
Oh, did they publish it? Designers, developers, Tarsier Studio,
Tarsier, yes,
Games.
Thank you. God damn it, what's wrong with my brain? Tarsier made both those games, and so they made Static, which was one of the best puzzle games on PSVR 1, and then went off to make Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and never came back. Dude, Little Nightmares would be perfect for VR. People always say that they love like the third person stuff in VR. They love the diorama type stuff, right? But we haven't had like Moss was like cutesy and fantasy. And Astrobot, very, very mascot platformer, typical, like those type of stages. I think a horror game would be really interesting to see in third person VR, right? Because some of those characters in those games are like pretty freaky, and like you get yourself into like these really tense situations. And like I think I could empathize with My Little Raincoat Dude way better if My Little Raincoat Dude. If that's not a euphemism, I don't know what is.
Don't know what you mean.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I would finally play through those games because those games are fucking. I played a bunch of the first one and then just kind of was like, well, maybe this will come to VR at some point. I can finish it, but it never did.
Never played it.
What?
I know.
Okay.
That's on the gasp list.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not against it though. If it's on VR, I'll give it a go.
Okay. I think that gets us caught up on tips. Let me just double check. Yep, we're good. I think we can move along to our first news story, Miles.
Kill it with fire, Brian.
49 minutes into the episode, we made it to our first news story. I'm so excited. I got the email today, man. I got the email today that Kill It With Fire VR is officially coming to PlayStation VR 2 next week, April 13th. I think that's Thursday. What do you know about this game, Miles?
Spiders, lots of spiders, and you got to kill them with some kind of element. I believe, like fire, maybe.
Yeah, this trailer is showing guns. Looks like we got a frying pan, fire for sure.
Love it.
Yeah, it's one of these games that I think is super goofy. Really relies on physics and the fact that everything in the world you can pick up and throw or interact with in some way or another. I can't imagine being interested in this on the flat screen, but in VR it looks like something I'd have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and it also, as someone who can't stand spiders, I would be able to give this a go. Although the scary bit is at the end of the trailer where the big spider appears, but it's not in-game footage. So I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean this looks like PSVR 1 or Quest or like these are the type of graphics that Emily Baxter despises. But I don't think this needs to look terribly good. I hope that the fun factor is there to kind of take care of everything. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Current Spieler in the chat says Kill It With Fire is not coming to PSVR 2 next week, actually. Well then, fuck me, dude. I don't know what to say. I got my press release this morning with a form to request a key. So if it's not coming out next week, then the press release is not accurate, and my apologies. But that is the information that I got, and so far they have not updated it. Don't know what to say.
It's been pushed back to sometime later this year. There we go. And it is coming out on PSVR and VR2, so it's coming out on both platforms.
All right. Well, there you have it then. From somebody I don't know in the chat, fact checking us. Go.
Well, I am looking forward to it still, but I got time. I got some time,
dude. I got to be honest with you. Like when I woke up and I saw the email from their PR firm, and I was like, fuck, dude. Like I need 1 week off. Yeah, Kern Spiller says you can't choose the PSVR version right now. But I talked to them and they were like, oh yeah, we'll get that fixed. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm actually really, really happy if this doesn't come out next week, because I really needed a week off without a new game coming out so I could get caught up and just, dude, I feel like I'm doing okay keeping up with the current releases and getting reviews out in a somewhat timely manner for the games that have been coming out since launch. But there's still so many launch games, dude, that I got to deal with. So
yeah, I'm still working my way through games and I'm not even having to do reviews for them. Yeah.
So anyway, this is if this doesn't come out next week, I will be thrilled. Give me a little bit more time to get caught up on some of my games. And if it does, then fuck it, man. I'll kill a bunch of shit with fire. Perfectly fine by me. All right, perfect. That means we can move on to... Oh, sorry. Belrami the Game Cat with the 12 euros says, there are a lot of spiders in a Hogwarts game, which I already killed with fire, even despite the game is kind of mid and filled with open world boredom. It blows most VR games away. We need more hybrid stuff. I mean, I've got to agree with Bell. I mean, I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy. I have no idea, exactly what mechanics are, what he considers mid or what the game world is lacking. But it's funny that like even mid-tier, the big mid-tier games that come out from third-party studios, they really are better than most VR games. And I think that's going to be a situation that rectifies itself this generation.
Has there ever been a Lego game on VR? Obviously not on PlayStation, but on other platforms. I don't think so. But like, I just think of the sort of big IP games. We just mentioned Harry Potter, but I think Lego, those are ones that I can imagine they would go, actually, yeah, let's take a punt at VR. I feel like Lego would be a good one. I've actually never played any of the flat screen Lego games, but I've heard amazing things. But I've also been told once you've played one, you kind of don't need to play them all. Like you need to just choose the Lego game IP that's for you.
Yeah.
And they're meant to be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know. Lego games don't really do it for me. At one point, there was like not a lot of games that I wanted to play, and so I played some Lego games. I don't even know which ones at this point. I might have played a Star Wars one. I definitely played an Indiana Jones one. I think I played a Harry Potter one. They're all the same. I think they've come a long way since then, like since they were coming out like every fucking 3 months. I think they've come a long way in that there's like some of the newer ones have actually differentiated themselves much better. But yeah, man, I could do without Lego games, to be honest with you. I had my fill.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, just to Bell's point, though, I do think that we're going to, because of hybrid games, if enough hybrid games like single A, triple A, fucking even indie games come over to PSVR2 from the flat screen, I think that's going to solve our problem, right? Because we do have a lot of great VR games, but when you compare them to really anything that's happening on the flat screen, like we're still really far behind. I take issue with anybody out there who says that games for VR need to be developed from the ground up for VR, because I don't think that's what gamers want. Gamers want full-fledged fucking games. We've had 7 years now of like built from the ground up games that don't deliver the length, the depth, the mechanics, or anything from that we've been so used to in the flat screen for the last 30 plus years. So that's why I think hybrid games are so important this generation. That's why I think Sony knows hybrid games are so important this generation. And that's why Village is proof. Village is the best game on PSVR 2. Gran Turismo is a contender for the best VR game on PSVR 2. These are flat screen games that got brought into VR. And they're amazing.
It's also the fact it will be an amazing opportunity for promotion for VR in the community, because you can imagine the comments on any video of it's no longer, oh, this is a VR game, doesn't appeal to me, I'm a flat screen gamer, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's there's a game trailer or or a game being reviewed, and in the comments there'll be people going, love this game, but my goodness, it's amazing in VR. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, it will have that opportunity of people being like, actually, yeah, maybe I should get VR. I would love to now experience this in VR.
Right.
That's a much easier mental leap as opposed to there are all these games that are VR only. Well, that's a bit different from, I love this game, but I'd love to be in it, which is the thing we say again and again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's also why I don't, when it comes to sales of the PSVR2 headset, I think we're off to a great start with Gran Turismo and Village, but I think once I have this strange feeling that once Sony starts talking about the partnerships they have and the third party stuff that's coming over the PSVR2, AJ and I talked on Monday at length. Like we had the most ridiculous number of games coming to PSVR2 later this year. Like in so many games in so many different genres, most of them built for the ground up for VR. That like if those were the only games we got for the rest of the year, I think we'd all be really happy. Like they all seem like really great games. But the fact is like we don't know half the games that are coming later this year. We don't know what Sony's about to announce. And really, once they announce their third-party partnerships with, for hybrid games, I think that's when sales are going to really start taking off. When you just start game after game after game after game that you're familiar with the IP, you've been excited about, and now you find out that it's also coming to PlayStation VR 2. That's what's going to sell headsets. Not built from the ground up games that no one's ever fucking heard about before. Like, yes. I'm very, very excited for those games, right? But that's not what's going to sell headsets.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Miles, you want to talk about Cosmonius High?
I am actually super looking forward to this conversation because Brian and I have not actually spoken at all about our experiences with this game. I'd like to start this conversation just acknowledging that my perspective of Alchemy games, and I know that you and AJ did a tier list of what you were most excited for, and I think all of Alchemy games appeared in the D ranking. And I feel sorry for Alchemy games for that, but I also understand because it was based on hype. Mm-hmm. Alchemy games, regardless of what you make of the games, they are always super well polished. They're always super VR AF, mm-hmm. And they are great introductions for people that are trying VR for the first time. Cosmonious High was something that didn't really get discussed much, post-launch, and I thought this is something I want to dive into. I want to thank Alchemy Games for sending me the key code for it, and also for Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator. Job Simulator, I've mentioned before, I had played as my first domestic VR experience on the HTC Vive many, many years ago through my brother, and so I have a very special place in my heart for that. And if I had that experience, as a lot of people, their first VR experience will be, a good one with Job Simulator as well. I actually platinumed Job Simulator yesterday, so I actually got to play the other two campaigns I hadn't done before, which was the mechanic one, and I'd done what was it? You got the cafeteria, working in the restaurant. Right. But Cosmonious High, and then I played a bit of Vacation Simulator. But before I played those two games, I did Cosmonious High. I did it on the live stream last weekend. I did a couple of hours. And it's always a bit different when you're playing on a live stream because especially with Cosmonious High, there's a lot of mechanics to get your head around. There's a lot of, I don't know how you describe it, Brian, but I'd say it's an adventure game. There's a lot of working out, what do you need to do to solve these miniature puzzles and how you interact with your environment, which is what Alchemy Labs have always been really good at. But this is an environment that you can walk freely around. There is just click turning or is it click? It is click turning, isn't it?
Yep.
And it's teleportation. Yep. I was trying to turn it off, but I understand why they've chosen to do that. And in the end, I got over it, but I would have preferred it being smooth turning and things like that.
Yeah. Almost always would I prefer that, but
yeah,
this is
but it's an improvement on their previous two games because there was no, it was just you just stand on the spot. In Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator, you had to like look and click on the controller to teleport.
It was
there.
node to node. Yeah, right. So they went from no movement whatsoever to node teleportation, now to just standard teleportation. Will their next game be full locomotion?
That right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my initial thoughts with Cosmonius High was, and the reason I mentioned the live stream was it was only when I sort of played it after that that I really got to enjoy it more, because you know what it's like when you're getting stuck on something and people that have played it before, they've been helpful, but there's some magic in terms of, spending time finding out for yourself without worrying about, oh, am I being boring right now, staring at the same thing for like 20 minutes? And it's a great adventure game with a lot of... I like the way it is. It's a high school with different classrooms. So the different classrooms have different themes. They give you different abilities.
Mm-hmm. Dude, can we stop with the abilities? Just stop right there for a second. Yeah. Because almost right out of the gate, you discover that you have the ability to shoot water out of your hand. Right? Now, I've got to say, when it comes to Alchemy Labs, they know what they're good at. Right? They understand what VR gamers want. They understand that if you see a shelf like this and there's 50 things on it that people are going to walk up to that, pick up every single item, see what breaks, see what they can interact with, see what they can fuck with, and see how one item interacts with another. And that is what has made Alchemy Labs a success. That's what made Job Sim a success. That's what made Vacation Sim a success. Just the VRAF elements and the experimentation, that almost anytime you experiment with something in their games, you'll find out that you're able to, right?
Yes.
In any other game, you're like, oh, what happens if I do this to that and that to this and nothing happens? And you're like, shit. Yes. You take two items in this game, you put them together, you're like, shit happens. Like, it's like they knew that you were going to try that, and so they do something about it. They're like, well, if they're going to try it, let's fucking make something happen. And I love that.
Yes.
And so that's why when you get your very first power, and there's like, 10 of them or something in this game, where you shoot water out of your hand and it feels good with the sense controllers, like, the feedback, the haptics. You want to spray water on everything. Like, what happens when I spray water on this? What happens when I spray the student with this? What happens when I fill up this? Oh, I just accomplished something because I filled this thing up with water, right? It's the sense of discovery, but also the feeling of reward that comes along with it. Not only are you just fucking with things, but also the game is like, oh, you just did something great and everybody really appreciates it. And like, that's a good feeling.
Totally agree. When you actually get each ability, you sort of, your hands start glowing, and then you go into this screen where you're in space and all these sort of silhouettes are coming towards you. I'm just curious, Brian, do you know what you're supposed to do in that moment? Is it just happens, or is moving your hands, does it speed it? I don't know. I think you're just meant to...
I just stood there and watched the trails on my hands. It's like, right. Oh, you're on LSD. Well, I mean, it's a game about high school, so that makes sense. You're on LSD for 30 seconds. And I was like, well, that's a little shorter than how my experience has gone. But dude, at the beginning of the game, when you get to customize your character, I was like, I'm putting on the John Lennon glasses. I'm going to walk around school with my John Lennon glasses on. And so when everything went psychedelic, I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah, when I was live streaming it, because at the beginning, spoilers, you get on a school bus, but then you've got to find the key to make the school bus go.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't like the idea that at high school, the kids drive the bus. I mean, what could go wrong? And then what happens? You crash it and there's a fire. And the student's going, are you okay? It's like, no, there's a fire. And that's when you learn the water abilities and you manage to put the fire out. But when you gain the abilities and you charge up in this, really weird environment, and you get the feeling in the headset and in the hands, it once again makes me think about my dream VR game, or one of my dream VR games, Dragon Ball Z, like turning Super Saiyan, the idea of charging up and feeling it in your head, and your hands. You just feel powerful with it. It's just really, really great. And so, yeah, the idea of the game is you go to these different classrooms and you have to get credits, and you get credits by doing the main classes.
Yep.
But then in addition to that, there are all these like miniature like credit displays where a lot of them are like, you need to put these items here, and sometimes it's just finding an item and putting on it, and sometimes it's creating an item by combining either an ability with an item. Maybe it's got to be something that's wet, or it's been set on fire, or maybe you've got to combine two items together. And in addition to that, there is also like this cleanup board. So there's all these fires around Cosmonius High, but there are also like pictures on the wall that need to be resized, or there needs to be like there's like ice piles of ice or snow that need to be removed. There's all these different things, and so as you develop abilities, you then have to backtrack and use that to unlock more and more. I don't know how far you've got into the game, Brian. I 100%ed it and platinumed it a few days ago.
How long did that take you? I checked on HLTB and they said that it should be about 8.5 hours.
Yeah, because the final, where is that last credit thing? Like there was some, and I discovered something that would have helped me out.
Mm-hmm.
So in your backpack, you've got like a social. I don't know if you've unlocked it yet, but you eventually unlock this like social menu, and basically there's these buttons you press for each character, and they talk to you. So different characters around the school set you challenges. So one of them has like these like collector's cards you've got to get.
Yeah.
Another one is you've got to find their blebs. You know, these cute little blebs.
Adorable.
They're so adorable.
Did you ever kiss one?
No.
Dude, it was almost an accident. I put it up to my face just to like look at it, and I heard, and when I heard the kissing noise, the bleb just made this like quick smiling face, and I was like, oh my god, I want to kiss every single bleb. Like it's ridiculously adorable, and I'm a huge fan of collectathons, and so between the blebs and the cards, dude, I'm invested. Right. I'm invested big time.
It's a really fun game, 100%. And so in this social bit in your backpack, if you press the character that has the cards, they will give you a clue of where the next one is.
Oh.
I wish I'd known that, because forever I was just like searching everywhere, and I looked at a few guides online. But you know what it's like in VR. It's not the same as playing a flat screen game where you can have your laptop there or your phone there, and then you got your screen there. It's like constantly taking it off because pass-through is not good enough yet to look at your laptop through it. So yeah, as it was getting towards the very end, it was tough, but it was fun, and I was like, totally makes sense now. And yeah, I have to say, Cosmonious High is in my opinion, an absolute solid game. Obviously the topic of today's show is it a kid's game? I would definitely say if you have young family members, you know, young brothers or sisters or nephews, nieces, and you want them to experience VR, you know, things like Job Simulator or What the Bat are great for just like very short experiences where here's a level, you're not having to move around, there's not a lot to really think about. Whereas Cosmonious High is one where if you want them to get a bit further into VR, where they've actually got to explore and work things out and spend a bit more time in it, Cosmonious High is really good for it. And you spend so much time wandering around, you start getting to know the characters, and there are some really adorable moments where you've got to help them out. There's one where a character has a crush on another and is very nervous about it, and you've got to help them out. I just didn't like the fact they kept talking about slime. They said, I'm sliming everywhere and stuff because, or gooping. Maybe it was gooping because they're just made of goop. And maybe it's just my head going places, but yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. All the different students in the school are certainly like archetypes of, the students that you probably knew in high school, right? And they do have, some of them have crushes on each other, and some of them need help and whatever. And it's just interesting to like kind of go around and just talk to them and see what like their issue is, see what they need help with. And I kind of just, I don't know, man, like there was something special about this. And when you call it, when you say it's a kid's game, like, or when you refer to it and say, is it a kid's game? This is one of those games that I feel like Nintendo made, right?
Right.
Where it's like, dude, there is so much stuff here that is kid friendly, that is like really great, I think, for kids in terms of like just the social interactions. And we don't need to get into political correctness areas, but like it's really good in like in all senses, right? I think it's just it is a good game for kids, but on top of that, it's the thing that like adults are looking for in VR. Even if like you're like, oh yeah, I'm an adult and I want to play horror games and I want to go kill zombies or I want to go do this, but mechanically, it's everything I want in a VR game.
they are so good. And it's actually going back to someone was asking in the chat, is it better than Job Simulator? Job Simulator is an old game. Like Job Simulator is solid for what it is. But the things that Brian was mentioning about how you can manipulate everything, going back to Job Simulator, I think it's one of the things in the kitchen where you've got to make like a pizza or a cake, and you can put any ingredients you want in the microwave. And I put like a lemon in there, and so when the pizza was done, it was literally a pizza with slices of lemon on it. Like they thought about every possible outcome of what items would you put, and they've given you an outcome for it. And there is like a classroom that's all about astrology. I don't know what the names are of the classes because they give them really, really funky names. But there's ones where you can create your own planets and things like that. This game is a much bigger game.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. And again, you know, you've not 100%ed it yet, but having fully completed it, it just felt like the perfect game. It didn't overstay its welcome, but it was something that made me want to complete it and 100% it. And it was just really great as you were unlocking these new abilities. And, you know, there's a lot of like places I probably could go back to and play mini games if I was new to VR. Yep. But I've like, no, I've been there, I've done that. But yeah, it was really good. And yeah, on the kids game question, I'm not saying it's not for people like me. I had a blast of it. I love the game.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it.
Yeah, not in a genre that I care much about. Like even Job Sim, right? Job Sim and Vacation Sim, those are games that I just didn't care about, right? Like I was forced to play them for the channel. And I was like, okay, well these are good. And the thing that they're trying to do, they do really well. And I enjoyed my time with them. And that's kind of the only reason I was interested in playing this game at all. It wasn't because I was like, oh, the aesthetic is cool and I love cartoony graphics and like, you know, everything's pink and purple. No, it's like that none of that appeals to me whatsoever. But I got in and I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the interactions. They do the Saints and Sinners thing where you've got a backpack as your inventory. It also has all the menu options in there. Like it's really fun. Everything's fun to interact with. And the superpowers especially, I've only got 3. Right.
I was going to ask actually. Yeah. So which you've got water,
you've got ice.
Yep.
And then I can.
And you can also pulse, can't you? You can pulse the powers.
You can pulse the powers.
You can like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's like a supercharged move for each of them, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Right. And then the third one I have is I can create crystals which can connect electric currents. And so I do a lot of that. And so. And that's my driving force in this game. Like that's why I want to spend more time. Because I'm like, God, these are only 3 of the powers. I think there's like 10 total. And I'm like, I want to get all the powers. Like I want to figure out like what all these do. And they're just because they're just really, really fun to use. And when you're walking around and you see stuff on fire, you're like, sweet, something's on fire. I get to put it out. Like that's what a weird reaction to have. It's like I have the ability to fix this thing that's wrong in this world, right? It's sort of this game is sort of delivering, I think, on the Saved by the Bell mentality. Like if people grew up in the same time that I did and they were watching Saved by the Bell when they were like 12, 13 years old, the idea was that all the teachers are inept, all the parents are inept, and kids have to do everything, right? Like that's not the direct message of the show, but that's certainly what a lot of the sitcoms, especially around that time and maybe even now, they kind of leaned into that, right? It's like all of the adult characters were always these like pretty stupid and pretty two-dimensional, and the kids had to do everything, and the kids were way smarter than everybody, and they were always pulling one over on everybody. And that's sort of what this game is. This game is like, man, first day at this new school and the bus crashes and I got to put the fire in the bus out. I walk into school and everything's on fire and everything's broken and I got to fix it. Right. I'm the only person that's inept and that's not inept in this world. And so I felt like it was delivering on that same feeling that I had when I was 12 years old watching Saved by the Bell, where I'm like, nope, got to save the day again.
Yeah. And Brian, there are some powers that you haven't unlocked yet that just everyone you get. I mean, I think there are some of the small little like credit displays where it says you need to add something with fire, and so you're like, oh, okay, you got to burn stuff.
I can't wait to get fire.
Yeah. But that was the one I was always like, that has to be the next one, and actually it's one of the last ones you get. But between where you are and getting to that one, there are all these other ones that a lot of them I would have never have guessed. It's just really creative.
Nice.
And yeah, it just kind of like each power you get opens up the way that you perceive the world that you're in, because there are new ways of manipulating with everything. And yeah, the teleportation and the click turning, that bother very quickly sort of goes away as you start moving around the place, because a part of me would have, especially as you're getting towards the end, going for the 100%, you're just like, all right, I want to go to that door now, that door, you know. And you also start learning how to get around, and you know, the different routes that you need to take and things like that.
Yeah, it's really good, man. It's really good. And I got to say, this launched at the right price point too. It's a $30 game. If it takes me 8 hours or more to get through, that's amazing, because Job Sim doesn't last nearly that long. Job Sim you can blast through pretty quickly. Vacation Sim, I think you can get through the main campaign fairly quickly, and then you're left with like all this like really grindy work to do. This just right out of the box feels like a more full-fledged game. And I don't remember what Job Sim launched for. Every site that I'm going to, I was trying to do a little bit of research, figure out what Job Sim launched for initially. Everything's saying $20. I know that's not true. It's $20 now, but it was at least $30 when it launched, and it didn't deliver nearly as much content as Cosmonius High does. And so that's another thing that Alchemy is getting better at, is creating fuller fledged games, not just games with like more, more better locomotion options. So this is This is a great step in the right direction for them.
And I just know that for young kids playing this game, there are going to be certain classes that they want to spend more time in.
Yeah.
I'd love to sort of go into more specifics, but I think it's a thing that you should just experience for yourself. There were only 2 issues I can think in the entire game that I had, and they were both right near the beginning. One is literally when you spawn into the game, I think you hear a voice on your left, and there's this little box where because you get your student pass, and that's what your save game is on, and then you can like put it in this like machine to destroy it, basically destroy that save game slot. Then you start hearing a voice on your left from that box, and the box has disappeared. So I don't know if that is because you've started the game. I don't know. I was getting confused of where this voice was coming from, and I think the box may have disappeared and glitched out. So that was like the only issue right at the very beginning. And then secondly, the other issue I had was saving the game. There is no way to save the game, and so I was constantly paranoid about, do I just close the game down? How do I know when it's saved? There was no like save wheel on any particular area, especially when you've just done like an hour of doing loads of collectibles and stuff that you don't want to redo. There might be an obvious answer to this that I completely overlook, so if there is, do let me know. But that was my only other thing. I just didn't know how to save the game.
Yeah, I have no idea. I had to quit the game because it was time for GAMESCAST. So I'll figure that out when I get back to it.
What classes are you on, Brian? So the beginning one is you got the visual one and the like chemistry lab.
Yeah. I don't even know. I had walked into the main area and there were so many things wrong that I couldn't even go see the principal like I was supposed to. And so I've just been sort of exploring and finding collectibles and fixing things that are wrong. And I don't even know what my next class is supposed to be or how I'm supposed to go see the principal. But again, it was one of those points where I was like, I got into the game and they were like, okay, now come here, do this. Come here, do this. Now come here, do this. And it was like nonstop. And even when they were like, okay,
stick everywhere.
Like let's go and like, meet the principal. I was like, no, I'm going to stick around here because the chemistry lab was so much fun. Because it's like, oh, combine this fluid and this fluid. Now stir it or heat it or cool it or what do you want to do? And you create different chemicals of different creations. And then once you create those, you get to use those and like also create more fluids, right? And there's a bar on the machine that's slowly filling in as you create all the different compounds. And it's in that to me, I was like, I just want to stay here until I figure all that shit out. I want to stay here until I discover all of them. And so that's in the back of my mind right now, where I'm like, fuck these other classes. I want to go back and finish this class. I want to do everything there is to do in that room. So I haven't made it too far, man. I haven't made it too far. But I can't wait to go back. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I also love the ability of just pointing at stuff and then like pulling it towards you, and it just like flies across the room to you.
It's the
and
Half-Life
it's just so intuitive
mechanic.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's
is it? Yeah,
Half-Life Alyx and Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife and a few other games have started using this instead of just like straight on point at it and boom, and it just teleports to your hand. I do think that pointing at it and then flinging it to yourself and catching it is, I think that might be the way to go from this point on.
It's really
more
cool.
Fun. It's more interactive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, some of the long shots you can do with it, and sometimes it doesn't quite reach you, so you have to flick it a second time. But yeah, would love to hear GameCat's thoughts on it for those that have played it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. So maybe for kids, maybe not, but definitely. I think if you really like interactivity in VR games, and if you even remotely like job sim or vacation sim, I think my closing thought here is that you're gonna really like this. There's the same type of mechanics. It just takes everything that you could do in those games and goes way, way, way further. And the powers alone, I think, are going to be the driving force for me.
Yeah, for me, it was a great switch-off game, like, playing Pavlov, shooting people, or horror and all this sort of stuff. It was nice just to, like, chill in this really colourful world. And so I'd say it's for most people, especially for kids. And I think the distinction I would make for kids is, kids, if you got young kids or family members, they are going to use this game in an extra way, which will be, you might fire up the game and let them go to the visualization, the art place, because they actually just want to. There's a projector where you create your projector, you put it on the screen, and then you can paint it or print it out. Or there's these balls that you throw at the wall and it sort of paints. There's all these different ways of painting, and so that's the thing that they might go. I can just imagine my friends who've got young kids saying, "Oh, can I go back on there?" And then they might not play the game in terms of the actual objective of the game. They might just want to do some art, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm so glad that you... what's up?
Sorry, one more thing. Yeah. Because of the save issue I had, I kept on... It was the only game I was playing, so every time I finished playing it, I would put my PlayStation 5 into rest mode. So next time it fires up, I'm back in the game again. And it was only when I was near completion of the game that I actually closed the game and opened it up. And I couldn't believe it, that for... let's say 6 hours of gameplay, every room, the mess I'd made where items were thrown, they were all where I'd left them.
Oh, no way.
So it was only when I closed the game and fired it up, I was like, everything's back where it was. But because over like 4 days, I kept doing rest mode, so it was doing the auto resume, everywhere I was going, I was like, I still can't believe that everything is like a complete mess from where I've just, thrown stuff around. And it was only when it done the full close and open again that it reset. So that in itself was an unintentional technical marvel, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm so glad that you suggested that we talk about this game, because this was low on my list. Obviously, my hype level for it was through the floor. I was just like, obviously, we're not going to, when it comes to kids games, we're certainly not going to tell you what your kid should be doing and what they should be playing, or if they should be even wearing a VR headset. That is for doctors. That is for people who know the technology better than we do in terms of like what it does to a growing mind. Not my concern in the slightest what you and your kid do as far as VR goes. But I do think, I think there's definitely a lot of stuff here for kids, for adults, and again, just very, very happy you suggested that we talk about this, because this is certainly a game that doesn't get enough credit. This is one of those games that I was like, okay, it's another Quest port, but just like Demio, it's like the fucking best way to play this game. I cannot imagine playing this without all the sense controller support.
Yes,
because it just makes all the difference in the world for immersion. And I really, really enjoyed this far more than I thought I was going to.
Are you going to be doing a review of it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm like 2 hours in, and it's like, if the game's only 8 hours, then I will blast through it. And just like everything else, Miles. I'm going to get a review done for every PlayStation VR game, PlayStation VR2 game. Yeah. Which just means this is all I'm going to be doing until I die.
Awesome. No, I'm excited to see it and hear your thoughts when it's all done. But yeah, for me, this has left a strong impression on me. I think because also it was one of these ones of like, I'll get to it at some point. And yeah, it's been a more than a pleasant surprise. I think it's an absolutely solid game. And I think there's very little I'd criticize. As I said, it doesn't overstay its welcome. They've just said, this is what we want to do. And they've just set out and done it. And they've optimized it doesn't, sometimes in VR games it's a bit bloated where it's like, okay, this part of the game feels like the core, and then this is all this extra stuff they kind of did where it was like it was less developed. Mm-hmm. Whereas here it's like, no, every room they've thought about it with a lot of care, and yeah, that's what Alchemy's good with.
B Tribble reminds us in the chat that there's a demo for it if anybody wants to check it out, and that's great.
Oh wow,
man. That is great, because I do feel like this is a game that you need to play to appreciate. So yeah, anybody who's curious, download the demo and let us know what you think in the comments below once you've tried it out. Miles, you ready for a little 20 questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Nice. You've got a game, yeah?
I do have a game all set and ready to go. Hopefully I have all the answers as well. I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. You guys out there, make sure you help Miles out. This is never as easy as you think it is going to be.
Don't make me make the mistake I did last time I was guessing, because it was very bad.
Yeah, that didn't go well. All right, here we go, you guys. On your mark, get Des, go.
Is it on PSVR2, Brian?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Does it have multiplayer?
Yes, it does. You're off to a good start.
Yeah. Is shooting a predominant part of the game?
Is shooting a predominant part of... No, it's not.
Okay. Is the aesthetic... are they going for realism?
Yeah, I would say they're going for realism here.
So a multiplayer game, or a game with multiplayer for PSVR, that's on PSVR2, that is going for realism, but not much shooting. Is it, I don't know if you'd say, well, maybe I guess it is quite realistic. Is it a turn-based game?
No, not turn-based, that is 5.
I wouldn't have said Demio was really. I don't know.
It's a realistic board game.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, this. Borderlands. It's a realistic computer game. How about driving, Brian? Do you drive in it?
You might drive in this game. Yeah.
You might drive in this game.
You do drive in this game. Yeah.
Yeah. You do drive. Yeah. You drive. One might drive in it, and. Could you do a raffle in it? Could you can maybe do a bit of a raffle?
You can participate in raffles, sure.
In a raffle.
Yeah.
And if you do a raffle and you've got like 5 items on there and 4 of them are really amazing and one's terrible, you're pretty much going to get the terrible one most times, yeah.
Unless you're me, yes.
Unless you're... Okay.
I found myself to be extremely lucky when it comes to the lottery system in this unknown game. Who could possibly guess what we're talking about right now? Do you have a guess, Miles?
Yeah. Is it Gran Turismo 7, Brian?
It is Gran Turismo 7.
I'm so nervous doing this now after what happened last time. I get so anxious going. It was Galaxy Kart. Yeah, no.
you know what's funny, Miles, is that I think what most people don't understand and what really should be shown better, right? I think we should picture the lottery system, the raffle there, as a wheel, right?
With proportions,
right? Like the best prize should only take up 10% of the wheel, and the worst prize should take up pizza. Like 50% of the wheel, right? Yeah. And if you look if you look at it like that, it makes way more sense. But it's not shown to us like that, right?
Yeah.
But that's obviously what's happening behind the scenes, and so like they should display it as that. Right. And just to give us, otherwise people are like, it's rigged. And I was like, no, it's just, they're just not showing us the proportions of the wheel. Does that sound right to you, or am I just like full of it?
I agree. No, I agree. It needs to be like a poorly cut pizza. Some massive pieces, the terrible bits, and then the tiny pieces are the really good, with the really good toppings, like a sports car. Dude, we've got a massive one from a Wando cat.
It's not how big it is, Miles. It's how you use it. And Owando Kirnando with the 100
euros.
How
to use it.
Yep. 100 euros says whoop whoop. Well, my voice cracked during that. Thank you, Owando. Fucking love you, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And honestly, guys, you know what? I'm gonna take this opportunity here. Owando Cat, Kirnando Cat. He comes in and he takes very good care of us, right? Financially, make sure that like, you know, we're streaming. He comes in, he's like hands over a bunch of money. It's like just, you know, it's just to show his support. And like, I think that's obviously so important, right? For to keep channels like this running, which, you know, I don't know if you guys really know like how this is all run behind the scenes, but you know, I'm so blessed to have people like Miles and AJ and Wes show up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But obviously this is more than a full-time job. I'm doing this like 70, 80 hours a week. I barely ever have a day off. And it's easy to get burnt out. And I think, and so showing your support to people who do the same thing I do, and I'm not very clearly, I hope, saying, not talking about Without Parole specifically, but there are other channels. If you love those other channels, make sure they know you love them, right? Show up and participate in their chat. Show up and, you know, even if it's just like $1 or $2, like, you know, tip and say, hey, just want to say I really support what you do. Like Without Parole gets a lot of love, right? And we have like the best fucking community out there. But like there's a lot of communities out there that like, or there's a lot of channels out there that people love, but the people who run the channel don't really know that. And so make sure you spread that love around and you go tell people that run the channels that you enjoy watching, that if they shut down, you would be like, God, I'm so fucking angry that channel's gone, right? There are channels that are a huge part of my life that I watch like every 2 weeks. I want to watch GameSack, right? They put out one episode every 2 weeks. And every Sunday morning I wake up and go, I want to watch this before I even get out of bed. I would be so sad if like that just disappeared from my life, right? Make sure you know that those people are appreciated in your life. Leave a nice comment. If you don't have any money, that's fine. Leave a nice comment and let them know how important they are, because that's just kind of like what we do. That's kind of what like, you know, the GameCat MO is like, spreading the positivity and spreading the love. And like, you know, you guys do it for me quite a bit, but like, I want to make sure that like we all do it for everybody. Did that make any sense, Miles?
It made a lot of sense, Brian. Vitamin G, I call it on my show, Vitamin Gratitude, and it is about saying the small things. There's sometimes I'm doing a let's play at a weekend, and I'll have a game cat coming in saying, "Can't stay around, but just wanted to say hey," and that's amazing. Like, just, you know, sometimes people might be nervous to say that, going, I don't want to announce myself and then have to go, because I've been there in chat sometimes where you like say hey and you're like, oh, now I've got to stay here because what if they, you know, ask me something and I'm not here? It's totally okay to like stop by and leave and things like that. But yeah, just saying thanks, I see you, I appreciate you, can mean the world to people. And that's not just to, you know, people that you're watching on video. It can be other people in the comments. If you see someone with a question that hasn't been answered, you know, just reach out, and that can all help. So yeah, totally agree with that. Always room for more love and positivity.
For sure. It's too easy to get out there and be like, fuck this person. Right? Like that's why the internet has such a bad reputation, is because so many people are just like, when they're angry, it's so easy to say, fuck, I hate this person, or you suck, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But no one ever thinks to say, just want to say I love you, man. Like, or I really appreciate what you do, you know? And you guys in the chat, however, you're not the typical internet user. You guys are awesome. Also,
yeah, you're right. You're right. You know why they're not? Because they're not pressing the like button. What's going on? What's going on, guys? Thought you were going to press the like button today.
We don't need them to press the like button, man, because Owando Cat Kirnando Cat chimes in with another 100 euros. It says,
my goodness!
100
euros.
100 euros of vitamin G right here. This is.
I have my vitamin G in here every day of the week.
Ooh, I have that same pill dispenser.
Do you really? Yeah.
Same one.
Yep.
Yeah. Highly medicated.
G in yours as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of gratitude. Yeah.
Thank you again, Owando. We fucking love you, and
that's incredible.
And I hope you know how much we appreciate you.
I don't like that the high tips are red though, because it's like a danger. Like, it's like, shit, what's happened? It's like, I feel like
the stream has crashed.
Yeah.
Hey, also just want to say before we leave, where's my Jessica Alba robot Elon? Which, by the way, just as a username that rolls off the tip of the tongue. And Aceville, both will go to bat for Cosmonius High. Both of their game kittens love it. So their kids are loving the game, and I think you would consider us adults, Miles. We're a couple of adults that also love the game, so I guess it's a game for everyone.
Yeah, just the completionist in me. If you're someone who likes to 100% games, it's got that feeling. Yeah. It's got a really good trophy list as well. It's got a few questionable trophies in it, but I'll let you decide on that when you come across them.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. Excellent. All right, man. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for hanging out on this Friday. Good. You should be seeing an Across the Valley review coming up soon. You know what, man? I've decided that for certain games that like you might be able to play endlessly like that there's room on the channel for reviews in progress, right? Maybe a game that we're waiting for updates, a game that we're waiting for patches, and we just sort of say, hey, this is our review in progress. We want to let you know the current state of the game. Where, like, you know, last gen, there were too many games that I just said, I'll get back to this game and I will let you know once it's fixed, once it's patched, once it's gotten updates, how I feel about it. But then too many people bought it and were like, why didn't you tell me how bad this game was? Why didn't you tell me the issues that this game had? So, you know, reviews are just as much about warning people as it is for recommending games to people. So reviews in progress are going to be very much a thing as we move forward, just so I can, like, even if it's not a complete review, it's just like, hey, I spent 4, 5, 6, 7 hours with this game and I need to tell you what I think of it at this point. So that's what's going to happen with Across the Valley, because I do need to move on and play other stuff. Obviously we got other games on the way. Yeah, and I do want to get back to Resident Evil Village. I'm going to do my absolute best to stream that tomorrow. So if anybody's around tomorrow, keep an eye on the channel. Hopefully I'll be starting that up by like noon, 1 p.m., something along those lines. Eastern, of course. All right, you guys, make sure you go subscribe to Miles over at youtube.com/Miles and follow him on Instagram if you feel, at Miles Dyer Official. Make sure you go click the link in our description below. Join our Discord so you can get in on those Sunday multiplayer meetups like After the Fall happening this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I want to give a quick shout out to all my moderators who make my life better each and every single day. Everyone who supports this channel financially by going over to patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Everyone who tips during the show. Dude, Jay Meow, gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice, like Spotify. Thank you so much to everybody listening. And of course, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who gets all the timestamps into the show after the fact. Everybody who participates in the chat, everybody who helped out with 20 questions, and everybody who sat back and watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We love you just as much. Happy Friday, Miles.
Happy Friday, Brian. And quickly, my Let's Play this weekend is going to be a multiplayer. I'm going to be doing Synth Riders. So if anyone wants to dance with me during my live show, look out on my channel. It's going to be either tomorrow or Sunday. Haven't decided yet, but that's all coming soon.
Let's do it. See you, Miles.
See you later.
40, the four-dimensional game cat says half of Owandooooooo's tips go to the family of the penguin whose life got cut short by a certain someone.
Really? I don't know what people are on about, man. I don't know. I can't. We all have shadows in our lives.
You're just gonna deny what happened to that fucking penguin. What you did, your actions directly.
I broadcast it. I broadcast it. Everyone saw it.
You're forever the penguin killer, Miles.
Yeah. And I loved it. I loved what I did.
Robert the Gamecat says as many as 7 people are killed by penguins every year. That's a fact that doesn't get addressed enough. I think you should you should probably frame this a little bit different from now on. Whenever somebody brings up the death of the penguin by kayak or kayak paddle,
I saved a life.
You should say this was for Timmy.
Timmy.
This was for Timmy. Brutally attacked and killed by penguin.
That's true. It was for Timmy. And I don't regret it in the slightest, despite what the video showed of me saying, let's never talk about this again.
Yeah. Owando Cat Kiernando Cat says he has a gnarly chest infection. He's off work for 2 weeks. The Gamescast is helping him through it. Dude, feel better, dude. Like, feel better. Yeah. Hopefully getting plenty of rest and chicken soup or whatever is supposed to help with chest infection. But that blows, man. That blows. Hopefully you recover soon.
Rest well. Listen, Brian, clip of the week. So is Cosmonius High a kid's game?
I guess we're about to find out. Let's check this shit out.
Well, yeah.
Oh, this is going to be good. Try painting with that. Yeah, this is way cooler.
That looks so wrong.
Paint anywhere.
Yeah.
You're on the verge of creating a new art technique.
I was holding it in since that bus journey. I couldn't hold it in anymore.
Something still. You're a real Van Gogh. Keep it up.
Someone in the chat just said you can use white paint.
I don't think we've answered. I don't think that clip answered whether it's a kid's game, but I think we have 100% answered the question that everybody was asking, and the answer is you are a fucking child, Miles.
Why? Oh yeah, I am. It was funny. I pee on the wall.
That was really good though. I was like, you should use white paint. I was like, fucking love that.
Oh god, that was I can actually that was Looper, the underground game cat, that said that in my ear, and it totally threw me off. And I didn't do it. I didn't choose white paint afterwards. I chose red paint and covered it in blood instead.
Yeah, technically that clip could have gone on for 5 minutes because you didn't let up. You didn't let up for a while.
I literally covered the whole place in blood. It looked like, and then I even wrote "help" on the floor and took photos. It was just as I was doing, I was like, "This is amazing. This game's amazing. Like the stuff you can do, make it into a horror scene. It was really good."
I think that's a good place.
Anyway,
yeah, that's a good place to call it a night.
Urinating on the wall in a high school. Yeah. Happy Easter, everyone.
Good. Happy Mid Friday. It's Good Friday, Moderate Friday. I don't know, man. Good night, everybody. We love you.